Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this week's episode of Tiger Turf Talk, we host Mr. John Clintsman, the Director of Grounds at the Ensworth School. Such an awesome episode with such an awesome guy. John has been a huge supporter of our program over the past few years. Being able to get to know him has been awesome, and it's just an awesome episode where we just have a great time, where we get to talk about people in the industry. We share a great mentor in Dr. Goatley, and just being able to see the impact of people on others in this industry is truly just incredible to see and to be able to talk about, and it was just awesome to get him to talk about some of the things he has going on. Like presenting at the Sports Field Management Association conference coming up in Salt Lake. It's just going to be a great time with some great educational opportunities, and his presentation on leadership and mentorship is going to be awesome. We actually were able to help him out with a couple things with our kids and their sort of definition on mentorship. So it's definitely an episode that you guys don't want to miss. John, I can't thank you enough just for being the incredible person that you are, and always being there for my kids and for me. And I'm excited to see you in Utah, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. Good morning. Welcome to the 84th episode of Tiger Turf Talk. I'm your host, Drew Miller. Today we have on the Director of Grounds at the Ensworth School, Mr. John Clintsman. How you doing?
Hey man, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Oh, for those that don't know, we just had to redo that because I botched it so badly.
You suck at your job. You had one job today.
I know.
One
right?
job, and
one
you screwed it up off the rip.
Right off the bat. All right, so let's get into it. You've been at Ensworth for a few years now, probably more than a few, but what has it been like sort of getting into this industry as a whole? And again, we just talked for probably 45 minutes beforehand about how there are so many ups and downs and how awesome this industry is as a whole, with the people in it and the people you've gotten to know over the years.
So what's your question? How did I get into the industry? So you want a little bit of a backstory is what you're asking for. I can do that.
Oh, this is good. This is good.
I got in about, if you include golf, about 10 years ago. So I was a late bloomer. We were talking about guys that get in early and stuff. And I found the industry at about 30, after a divorce and trying to figure out who I was. I had my first son at 17, and there's not a whole lot of time to figure out who you are when you're having a kid at 17. So I worked in warehouses and factories for 13 plus years. I was in a marriage that we just weren't good for each other. We dated in high school. We fought through high school, but we had one thing in common that we both liked, and we executed that perfectly. And 9 months later, he was born. And, we stayed together for 13 years or more, trying to do what was right, and through that, I got three of the best things that ever happened to me, my boys. And but I lost sight of who I was. So if you fast forward a little while, I found golf course work, and I had a superintendent that was freaking amazing. And she would, she made me fall in love with the golf industry because she was such a teacher. She was teacher first. She was boss second, teacher first. And she was there for you as an employee. She was there for you as a friend. And she wanted you to understand why you were doing something. So my whole education started on the course, learning why we top dress, learning why we, aerify, learning all that, and hell, she put me on a spray rig the middle of the summer. She didn't tell me it was just water in the tank, but I went out and sprayed greens. My first spray app was with water on greens, and I had no clue. And then she just laughed when I came back because I was so proud of myself. And starting there but that golf course paid trash wages. I was making $10.25 an hour. I was struggling to keep shoes on my kids' feet and make sure the family was fed. And, my new wife at the time, she was working, but it's tough. It's tough when one of you's making piss poor wages. So, Innsworth had an assistant's position open, and, I had gone to the golf course. I had asked for more money. I'd asked for a bump. Our assistant had left, and I knew I couldn't be an assistant yet, but I thought maybe they could make me an assistant in training or something just to help me out. The head guy at the golf course was like, no, basically kick rocks. You don't have an education. I said, well, can you help me get an education? He said, no. Okay. Writing's on the wall. So I went to Innsworth. Spent about a year here, just kind of learning, golf and sports fields are similar, but they're very different at the same time. And learning how to paint. I painted some of the crookedest damn lines you'd ever seen in your life, like painting lacrosse fans upside down one time. Man, I can't tell you how bad my painting was when I first started. It was god awful. But after my first year, they were giving me my standard, 2% raise or whatever. And I said, you can keep the raise if you'll pay for me an education. I presented them with the paperwork for the University of Georgia continuing education, because I had met one of their reps at the trade show a few weeks before at the SFMA now trade show. And I really wanted to do, this program. And I had talked to Dr. Goatley. I met Dr. Goatley at my first SFMA, and it was like meeting a superhero. And we'll get into that story.
I'm sure he'll love that.
Let's get back to that story. I want to finish this how I got in, and then we'll go to that one. But Innsworth was more than happy to pay for that. It was $300. That was an investment for them, and time went by, and the head here left, and that summer I was working at Innsworth. I was working at the Nashville Sounds as a game day guy. I was working at the Tennessee Titans as a paint day. It's basically a game day position in NFL, you know that. But all I wanted to do was paint. I hated the game day stuff. And trying to get the head position here all at the same time. So fast forward, I got the position. I've spent the last, I want to say, I'm going on 5 years as the head. It could be 4. It all kind of started running together at some point. I think it's 5 though.
Probably COVID.
As the head.
Probably COVID mushes
everything. It also probably COVID brain.
Yeah.
Like I've discovered this year that I've forgotten more shit than I've ever forgotten, but that's another story for another day, probably. But 5 years as the head here. I've never stopped learning. I've always, anytime Dr. Goatley has emailed me about a course or something that he's putting on, I've signed up. If I see any type of free course or webinar something that piques my interest that I'm not real comfortable with, I sign up. Talking to guys like you, guys in our industry that are just awesome. I listen more than I talk, or I try to. But that's kind of that's the me in a nutshell getting into this industry.
It's an awesome story. There are a lot of different ways to do it. A lot of people have the typical, I went to school for it and everything like that, but finding it, is always interesting to understand the story behind it, so that's awesome. And it's awesome that Innsworth actually listened to you about hey, I'd rather get an education than this race, which is awesome.
Well, I knew, looking back, I don't know that I knew then. I knew I was making better money than I was making previously. So I wasn't worried about the money aspect of it. I thought I was making a fortune at the time compared to what I was making.
Yeah.
But I knew that getting that piece of paper, getting that education, was more valuable in the long run. And it has been. I mean, it's paid off 1,000 times over, if not more.
For sure.
But just getting that piece of paper, getting that knowledge base. Let's be real honest. It wasn't even about the knowledge that was in that book. I knew a majority of what was in that book.
Yeah.
Just from going out and doing the job, having bosses that were teaching me at the time. So I knew what was in the book. It was more that piece of paper so I could say, okay, I've done this.
Yeah.
Now there's been employers, I've applied for different positions in the industry, and there's been employers like basically straight up tell you they're not hiring you because you don't have an education. We've got to get past the stigma of uneducated just because you don't have a college paper on your resume. We've got to get past that, because I'm not going to say there's no need for an education. That would be incorrect.
Yes.
There's no need for someone to feel forced in this industry to do 4 years at a college when it's going to take them the first 6 or 8 years of their career to pay that 4 years back. You're not going to make that money your first couple of years in this industry to pay that back. So why are we forcing it so much? I know that's a touchy subject and I get it, but I think there's so many ways into this industry that it can't be so cookie cutter.
And I agree with you on the fact that when we look at face value, like you look at the guys in the industry and you look at some of the guys who are the top, who are at like the Augustas and all that. I'm not saying Augusta National guy doesn't have like a master's degree or not, but like there are people in those positions that only have a 2-year degree, and when you look at, hey, this is what I want to do, and there's really no way around it. Like, I completely understand going for a 2-year degree, and you can do that online while you're working. It's not like you have to like struggle to move to a school and spend all this money on housing and stuff and then have to pay it back. You can do it while you're on the job. I think, who was it? Crystal Wallace. He did that where he did the online program. I knew a couple guys up in New York that did it online. That again, were in that position of like they had the game day staff position, but they knew that this was an opportunity that they could move forward with. So like, hey, let me get the certificate so that I have it,
Yep.
So yeah, no, and I think there's going to be a major swing in our industry specifically when it comes to like certifications, like the certified sports field manager, which I believe you are one, correct?
No, I'm not, and that's kind of a hot button issue with me, and I've said my piece on it.
Sorry,
because no. Let's talk about it. Like,
go ahead.
Let's bring it up.
Yeah,
let's bring it to the forefront. It kind of pisses me off that I can't test yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I've proven I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
I feel like I'm just as professional as anyone else in this industry. I'm not saying there's not groundskeepers better than me. I know there are, but I want to be a certified sports field manager.
Yeah.
But I'm not able to test yet because I don't have the points. But you're telling me
how many points do we need?
Sorry, off the top of
my bad.
but here's what's frustrating. Here's where I get irritated with the entire system. Is a kid out of college in like 4 years can have the points, something like that.
Yeah.
Marty Kaufman broke it down for me one day at dinner for the banquet of SFMA. But what I'm getting at is I should be able to test right now.
No, 100%.
Let me test today. And I'm not guaranteeing I'll pass it. That's a hard test. I've looked over all the paperwork.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is I don't think I should have to wait because I don't have that college degree.
Yeah.
My certificate should hold some weight, and it's like 1 point. But like a college degree is, I can't remember how many points. I don't want to talk
7 or something. Sorry.
Right. But what makes that more valuable than what I'm doing? And that's where I get frustrated. And I said my piece to a couple board members this year about it, not angrily or nothing. I'm just like, look, I'm out here doing the same thing that guys that are CSFMs are doing.
Yeah.
Just as well as they're doing it. And I can't test yet. And that sucks because I would love to be part of that group. So I think it's an important group to be a part of.
Yeah.
But my day will come and I'll get the test and I'll probably fail and bomb and everybody make fun of me.
You'll kick ass. We'll make an announcement out of it and everything when you pass.
We'll have a celebration.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the superhero himself, Dr. Goatley. Yeah. I'm sure he would prefer WWE star, but
No. I am currently the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the Goatley WrestleMania Challenge.
Oh,
hang on.
Watch out.
Hang on. I just want to make sure. Can you see that? That's in a frame on my office wall. I don't understand why I wasn't given a title belt, but I wasn't. So, I handed everybody their ass in the WrestleMania Pick'em Challenge, and was awarded with a certificate there. It's funny the Dr. Goatley story, and him and I have told it many times, and we're going to tell it again this coming SFMA, I'm sure. But I was new in the industry. I'd been in sports fields for almost a year. And I was trying to soak up everything I could. I was buying books when I could, reading, just get what I can. And like I said, a month after the first SFMA, I did the University of Georgia continuing education stuff. So, I was heading that path when I met Dr. Goatley. I had been walking around the trade show, and the first booth I hit every single year is the Safe Foundation silent auction booth. There's always something there that's neat, different, fun. I don't know if you see directly behind me, there's a Sports Illustrated article. It's George Coma.
Yep.
Anyways, I picked that up there, like $5, and I put it in a frame, and it's just something that hangs in my office. So my first year, it was the sports fields manual that Dr. Goatley was a part of writing. And that book at the time was $100. And at that time, I'm not spending $100 on a book. I don't make enough money. But at the safe auction, it was like $20. They had it buy it now for $20. Getting that, and I was pumped, because this is $100 book. I just got a deal on it. I'm jacked up. I had no clue who Mike Goatley was. Zero clue. So I'd been walking around the trade show and tired. I grabbed a beer from one of the many vendors that want to get you drunk, so you buy something from them. And there was the only spot available at a table was with this beautiful woman sitting there, right? So I asked, "Do you mind if I sit down?" She's like, "Absolutely not." And we start talking about the trade show, and she's asking me if I've seen anything cool. And I started on about this damn book that I just bought. And she's like, "Would you like to have one of the authors autograph it?" Like, I said, "I'm not going to bother anybody." She's like, "Well, it's my husband. It's not a bother. He'll do it." Dr. Goatley, Lisa Goatley, and myself sat at that table. We closed down the trade show that night, just talking. He asked me my goals, what I wanted to do in this industry. And for me at that time, I was setting goals, but I had absolutely no clue how to achieve these goals. You got to think back. You were a young man your first year in this industry, right? I was just as lost my first year as you were your first year. I just had a family I was raising at the time. You were a college student. But I felt those same lost feelings that first year. And man, that bloomed into, at first it was an email here and there, a text. And that's how it's always been. It's always just been, we just reach out. to check on one another. And he's become that person that there's several people in my life that if they didn't come in to my life at that point, I think my life goes a different direction. So Dr. Goatley was one of the very first people in this industry that I feel like if he didn't come into my life at that minute, my career possibly takes a different turn than it has. And I feel like I've had a great career so far. Feel like I've got to do some amazing things, and but if that doesn't happen, I don't know what else doesn't happen. It's that rabbit hole that you can go down, and there's several other people that have been there, but he was that first real one that I think believed in me, which was weird to me because I didn't even know how to believe in me at that time because I still wasn't painting straight lines.
I still don't, so it's okay.
I had figured it out. The boys at Purdue taught me a little trick.
Yeah.
Turning the nozzle backwards. So I use a line laser, all right, S100, what cheapest Graco model they have, right?
Yeah.
And I turn that nozzle backwards so that the fan is actually facing.
You can actually see where it's going instead of 3 feet in front of you.
Not only can you see where it's going, but because it's at the 2 wheels instead of the 1 wheel, when you do get wobbly, it stays straight. It stays the course.
Gotcha.
When they taught me that, and that wasn't that long ago, it changed. Like I quit painting lines when I became the head because I said, screw it, I don't have to. It's teach the guys how. Yeah. You don't have to do it. But when they taught me that, I was like, oh, I'll paint lines again. I'm fine with this. So it's like you and I talked about before this thing came on, listening to people when they talk. Listening more than you talk, and you learn. But yeah, Dr. Goatley was that first person for me that, and I call them my superheroes because as time went on, I realized how big he was in this industry. And it was kind of like having a superhero in the industry that would reach out to me. He's a doctor. Shit, I don't even have an education, and this man's a doctor of grass. Like, this is pretty awesome. And then you realize that he's just a normal dude, and he likes wrestling just like you do, and he likes potatoes and beer, and he's just a fantastic man in general. And just having him in my back pocket, man, has meant the world to me.
Yeah, you got a good one in him. He when you talk about good human beings and just always looking out for the other guy, it's always him. When you look at 100%. You look at the influx of this industry that's come from Virginia Tech, whether those are students, and he'll say like, oh, they're not mine, they're Askew's or McCall's or like.
He never takes credit for anybody.
No. But like the kids that come out, it's incredible what he's done and how he's continued to do what he does. And I mean, he's always been there for me, like you said. The recent one, and I haven't talked to him a while about it, and you actually played a big role in it too, with the way you again checked on us and always took care of us with Rylan. He would send it might have been a bi-weekly or a monthly letter to Rylan. And even when I got bad, like he would always send these letters and I'd always bring him over, and it's just the person he is. And you look at it and he had no reason to do that. It wasn't like it was a required thing. And it meant the world to the family. It meant the world to me. And I mean, I knew he was going to do it either way, just because that's who he is, so, and I can't thank you enough for everything you did.
I did nothing, man. I did absolutely nothing with that, but that story, I mean, your entire group is amazing, right? Like I am inspired by them daily. And, that young man, I never knew him. I never met him. I only knew what you guys said about him. He was an amazing young man. And we're going to quit talking about this shit because neither one of us is going to get teary-eyed here.
No, I
will tell you, I was pissed off when I realized that you guys were in the same category as us for Field of the Year. I knew there was no way in hell. There was no way in hell we were winning after the year y'all had. And I was fine. Like, don't get me wrong. I wasn't actually mad.
Yeah.
I just I was like, well, damn it, we ain't winning no matter what we did this year.
No,
our grass could have been sprouting money out of it, and we weren't winning.
Yeah.
And that was fine because I was like, you know what? That when y'all got up there and accepted that award, I can't explain to you the pride I had for you guys, like your entire group. The way your kids handle themselves with professionalism, at least when they were around other people. I'm sure when they were by themselves, it was messed up. But the way they handle themselves around the crowds of men, you know, and women in our industry. And then you had a young man come up to me and you were with me. You were giving me one of the hats or something. And I said something to him about congratulations on Field of the Year. And he looked at me and he said, don't you mean back-to-back Field of the Year? I was like, dude, I freaking love you. You are my guy.
Gosh.
But let me explain why this kid is my guy, right?
Oh, go ahead.
So I was doing, like, he might be my spirit animal.
Okay.
And I don't remember his name, but
Bronco is probably who you're talking about. Curly hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a cocky little shit, and I loved it. And the funny thing was I was doing the interview with Pioneer, with Meg from Pioneer for the Pioneers in the field.
Yeah.
And first off, I'm not a pioneer in this field. I have no clue who nominated me. No, I have no clue who nominated me. I absolutely appreciate it. But I was out of my league up there, 100% out of my league. But when we did she did like a podcast episode with it's supposed to be with just me, but I pulled Thomas Trotter, who is the head groundskeeper for the Nashville Sounds, and I pulled Michael Brownlee, who was a sales rep with Simplot. And she said something about us winning Field of the Year. And it was directed to Thomas about, you know, does he take pride in when we win Field of the Year? And I said, don't you mean back-to-back Field of the Years? For Tennessee Turfgrass Association, right? That happened about 30 to 45 minutes before you and I met at the trade show for you to give me one of them hats.
Oh, gosh.
And he said it to me, and it made me so darn happy. Because I'm like, you know what? We as turf managers beat ourselves up daily, right? You know this. We get one bad spot in a 80,000 square foot area, and we beat ourselves up, right? Own it when you do good. Yeah. Own it when you're winning awards, because this shit is not going to last. Like, we've had a great 2 or 3 years here. We can't sustain it. We might continue being good fields. We're not going to continue winning awards. At some point, someone else is going to win the award. So I was so proud of that young man for being like, don't you mean back to back? I was like, that a baby. And you were so embarrassed by it.
I was.
No. Let this kid own this.
Oh my God.
Because he's going to have enough bad days in this industry that he needs to remember it wasn't just one Field of the Year. It was freaking back-to-back Field of the Year.
He's heading down to Tennessee, actually. He's going to school at Tennessee Tech, which I don't know where that is.
It's it's probably in Chattanooga. It's probably in the Chattanooga area. There's different Tennessee Techs everywhere. So,
well, his has turf and engineering, which is what he wants to do. He wants to engineer new equipment for the industry. So he's on his fourth summer on a golf course, and he's heading down there next year. So
tell him to come see me next year. Give him my number. Let's get him an internship with me next year.
I'll let him know.
Absolutely, because that guy's my spirit animal, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm just now thinking about like the late night with him. Like, you guys just dude. Oh gosh, that'd be funny.
Yeah, you send him my way next.
Okay.
We'll have some good times.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
For sure.
I love that kid.
He's
That
a good
made me
kid.
so happy. That made me so happy when he said that.
I'm still embarrassed.
I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
We
need to steer this ship somewhere else.
Okay. let me do that real quick.
Nice.
So we were talking earlier, you and Dr. Goatley are going to be presenting in Salt Lake this year coming up. What are you guys looking to present about, and how are you excited? I mean, obviously, presenting at SFMA is a big deal. You know, it's an industry event, the industry event, I should say. And it's a great opportunity to get out there and just talk about your experiences, whatnot. So what are you guys gonna be talking about, and what do you want us to know sort of before you actually come to the event, which you all should come to, because we'll be there.
You asked if I'm excited. So if you haven't noticed, all of my answers go back, right? So let's go back to my first SFMA. The people presenting were up here in my book. And do you remember your first one, and how you were like, I will never be doing that. That is not.
That's a very good point. That's a good point.
Right.
Denver. Oh God, that was so long ago.
And as time went by, I started thinking, I was like, in that Pioneer article, I mentioned something about when I'm done with this, whatever that means, when I retire, when I'm done on this earth, whatever it is, right? I want everyone that knew me to think of me as great, right? So, and that sounds cocky as hell, but I don't mean it that way.
More of a legacy thing than cocky thing, you know?
Sure.
I understand.
I want my son to remember how great of a dad I am.
Yep.
I hope. That's my goal.
I'm sure he thinks that.
But you get what I'm saying. So
no, I get you.
Let's put it in the industry standpoint. It's always somebody's first time. It's always someone their very first visit or second visit or their whatever. And they're looking up at those people thinking, wow, that's pretty neat that they're in front of their peers speaking. Because there's no worse group in the world to speak in front of than your peers. So I started making it a goal that I want to present at an SFMA. So it's one of those situations where I would see the email come through, call for presentations open, and I would let it close. But I would think about it the entire freaking time. Last couple of years, that's how it's been. I presented at the Tennessee Turfgrass Association COVID conference. Almost pooped my pants doing it because I was so nervous, but got good feedback from it. And then I skipped a year. And so when the call for presentations opened, I reached out to Dr. Go and I said, I would like to present with you. And he said, let's do it. He's like, what do you think? And I think there's only one thing him and I can present on. First off, I'm not going to a conference to present and talk fertility to you guys. I'm not doing that.
That's not what I'm about either.
I'm also not going to come talk about any type of educational stuff. That's not where I'm at. Like, that's not where go out and be great at what you're good at, right? Go out and be great at what you're good at. What I'm good at, I feel, is leadership. So I feel like that's a strong suit for me. So I asked Dr. Go, I said, what if we talk about mentorship / leadership? That's where him and I gelled, right? He's a mentor for me. I'm hopefully a mentor for somebody else one day. So I said, okay, let's do this. So, we reached out to you guys. We reached out to the Twitter universe. And our first question right now is, what is mentorship? What's it mean to you? And your students nailed it. They're like, your students are so impressive. I mean that. I'm not just saying it because you're here in front of me. I say it to everybody. Your students are so damn impressive, because at 16, 17 years old, I would tell this guy to kick rocks. Like, I don't care what you're asking me. they are an impressive group. And I appreciate you having them do it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyways, we're going to talk about mentorship, and we are going to be as interactive as the audience will allow us to be, because Dr. and Goatley and I are only two guys that are bringing this talk to you, the audience. What we need from you, the audience, is to talk to us, because it doesn't matter what mentorship is to us. It's what is it to you? How can I be a better mentor to you? Or how can the mentees be better mentees to the mentors? Like it's a two-way street. I was talking to you about this earlier. I can only mentor somebody as much as they will allow me. I can only help you as much as you will allow me. And if every time I give you an idea, you shoot back with, I already know that, there's no reason for me to try to help you. So our talk will be about how I want our talk to be interactive. Dr. Goatley wants our talk to be interactive. It's going to be up to the audience to interact with us. And
I will be there. I will be interactive. I'll get other interactive people. I promise.
That's what I want. That's what we want. I don't want to talk. Like I want to present what I have found. Dr. Goatley wants to present what he has found, and then we want to turn it over to you guys and let you guys talk to us. And maybe we can teach each other while we're sitting in that room, right? Wouldn't that be? I think that's the best way to do this discussion.
Yeah.
So we're working on it right now. What's going to happen. We're going to get to December. We're not going to be done with it, and we are going to cram it together in a month, and it's going to be freaking amazing, because that's what it is.
Yes.
But I am uber excited to speak at SFMA this year. Like it
awesome.
Makes me extremely proud to be one of those many people, if I'm a CSFM or not, to be on that stage, to be speaking to my peers about something
it
that
adds,
I
it
feel
adds points, doesn't it? Presenting at a national conference.
Maybe it's enough to get me there.
We'll see. Let's see.
We're going to pull that thing up.
Let me see if I can give you some of my points from my college degree.
That'd be great.
I'll call Kristen. I'll say, Kristen,
are these points
transfer those points over there for me?
And I had some great talks about that to the board members that I spoke to, and
yeah,
I think they get it. I think here's the thing. I understand that it's a prestigious award, and we're trying to keep it prestigious.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's got to be other ways to get points.
100%.
When you're the head guy at your place. And we did the environmental certification. I was part of a group that won a leadership award. I can't take any credit for it, but I was part of that group. Like all of that stuff should add up at some point.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I went to. I was like, I understand you want to keep it prestigious, but you don't want to push good people to not.
No way.
Yeah, you're going to push them away, or you're going to make it so difficult that people don't care to come do it.
Yeah, and I think that is a great point, because there are so many different layers to that, in a sense, and I don't know if that's the right term, but like there are so many things we want people to do. Like we want them to come to your presentation, be interactive. But like you said, it's the end of the day on that day. And it's like, hey, how do we get those people to be interactive? You know what I mean?
A keg. We're going to bring a keg in. We're going to tap that.
That is one way to do it, I guess.
Flowing.
That is one way to do it, I guess. Yeah, no, but like I think it holds a lot of weight to, again, more than just, again, the CSFMM test, or I can say M twice. Like, and we talk about it all the time, and people are like, hey, how do you get more kids like interested and whatnot? It's like, well, we have to provide the opportunity. And that's when you talk about my kids being impressive, I'm very grateful for that. But a lot of the stuff that comes with that is the time that we take to sort of empower our kids, give them the opportunity to have a say on what they're doing, have a say on like the paint schemes or like the mowing patterns, or even like, again, making a decision on our management practices. Like, what if we did this instead of that? Like, allowing them to have that opportunity to come and make it their own is sort of like what we all have to do as an industry when it comes to things like the CSFM. You know, like I just still think I'm saying that wrong, but like you have someone like yourself who wants to do it and who has shown that he is capable of all of it. Why would we not give him the opportunity?
Yeah.
Now, again, I could be completely wrong. Like you said, like there could be like, well, you're trying to keep professional. And like, if you have X, Y, and Z, like I understand that. But at the same time, like we should have like a committee or something where like someone like you who has the experience, who has the time, who has the want to be a part of it, like do like oh, here's an extra 10 points because you're in your 4th year as the head groundskeeper and you have this certification instead of a degree or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been on different committees and different talks and different groups on how to improve things, how to keep people engaged and whatnot. And it's hard, you know. I mean, I guess free beer is the answer, but like
And that's another thing is I've been on the committees. Like I've been on committees since probably my 2nd year.
Mm-hmm.
They send out the email, you know, we're looking for committee. I'm like, why not? You know, and I'm not always the most involved person in the committee. I a lot of times join the committees to listen. And if I have something to say, I will add it. But I just want to hear what others think about certain situations to try to help my knowledge base of our industry. You know, I'm also a local chapter board member. And I'm like, if I'm doing those things, that should have some weight as well. It's not like I'm just sitting back mowing grass and I want to be a CSFM. Like I'm checking the boxes.
Yes.
And I do believe there should be, and it's kind of like you said, let's make an old timers vote for, hey, you know, the CSFMs, you know, the Hall of Famers, right? They get to vote 2 people every year that should get to take it that don't really meet the points requirements yet.
Yeah.
Because by the time I get to take it, I think I'm still talking like 3 years out if I did the math right. And I'm like, at that point, you know, I don't know. At that point, maybe I'm like, screw it. Like I've gone this long without that extra abbreviation on the end of my name.
Yeah.
I can continue going. And that's what happens to guys. I'm not saying that would happen to me, but that's what happens to guys. They're like, screw it. Like if I've gone this long in the industry without it, I can continue. For me, it's more of a pride thing that I would really love to have it.
Yeah, for sure. And people ask me why I might not gone for it or why wouldn't I? I'm like, well, I'm a little busy. I'm working on my doctorate, which I'm not doing so hot on. I have to rewrite some stuff, but like that'll help me in my professionalism in the sense of like moving me forward. And I'm not saying the CSFM won't do that. I'm just saying like right now I need to focus on this. You know what I mean?
I would say a doctorate probably holds more weight than a CSFM.
Maybe a little bit.
A little. I mean,
tiny. Microscopic more.
Yeah, I would say so. So I would say you're making the right decision for your future.
Which
done, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If you need any help with your doctorate, I'll be happy to, you know, check over your work or whatever. I'm sure I've got the certifications to handle that.
I'll send it your way.
That'd be great.
But you know, there are so many different opportunities, and I think you've discussed so many great things about, again, things like mentorship and leadership. Like I think that is an area that we lack in our industry, and I think that there are some great leaders that do a lot of great things. Dr. Goatley example. It's just, how do we get that sort of on the forefront of things? You know, I think I said this last time, but like I was very lucky with the people that I worked for, you know, very good people that took care of me, that never once got mad, even though they had every right to be. Like there are just, it's hard to find that in this industry, because even me, like even with my kids, sometimes like I discuss it with my parents. It's like there are times where I go off on the kids because I need them to understand that, hey, this is a safety thing. You can't be doing this. Like this is life and death type of things. Like I'm very strategic with the way that I am bad in the sense of being a leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like being able to guide someone towards a job in the industry or an opportunity, you know, It's something that we as an industry need to, again, sort of show everybody. So I think your guys' talk's going to be awesome. And I'm really excited for the beer,
Absolutely. I'm going to pay up on that one. So, one of the other things we want to try to discuss if we can work it in is how to be a boss.
Yeah.
And I hate that term.
No, but that's the thing. It's like that term is what we want to change in the sense of the meaning of it. So it's a great idea to say that,
So I was out for drinks. Last week I was in Memphis, hanging out with some other groundskeepers. Basically, the Memphis Braves grounds crew was there, and I'd kind of helped them out that night or whatever. And we'd gone to have beers after work, and one of the young men that works on that grounds crew, couldn't tell you his name if I wanted to. I'm terrible with names. He asked 3 of us that were sitting there that have all been head groundskeepers, how do you become a boss? Not one of us answered it the way this young man thought we were going to answer it. And the first answer is you're never anyone in this industry. I feel you're never anyone's boss. Everyone works with you, because for me, I can't take care of 200 acres without the guys that work with me.
Yep.
Now, on paper, they're my employees, but in practicality, they work with me. They help me get the job done. And if it wasn't for them, the job doesn't get done. If it wasn't for them, we don't win back-to-back TTA Field of the Years. You get what I'm saying. If it wasn't for them, I don't win, or I don't get awarded a Pioneer Field or Pioneer in the field.
Yep.
Whatever. I don't get that without my crew. And that's what we tried to make him see, is that you never have anyone working for you.
Yeah.
You're always working with them. Now, there are times, just like you mentioned with your kids, that you have to be the boss. You have to ruffle feathers at times. If I've got 100 things to do today and my crew's in here sitting down on their butts, I'm going to get a little frustrated. But I also have to understand that on a day when it's 103 degrees and we have an excessive heat warning, that at 10 o'clock, I'm shutting them down. We're coming in the shop and we're sweeping the floor. We are not staying outside. So there has to be that give and take of, I am going to let you take it easy on a hot day like today, but you're going to get out there at 6 o'clock and get going to get everything we can done today. And if you do that, I will give you the rest of the day to not be out there in it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of give and take in this boss role. I think the other thing that we have to understand is that there's a new generation coming on. I'll be 41 next month, and the generation coming up was not brought up the same way I was. My dad
throw COVID in.
Yes, my dad busted his ass every day for very little money. I came up extremely poor, but my dad went to work every day and he worked hard. And I saw how hard my dad worked. And I went and I started working hard. But somewhere along the line, things have changed. And people want more money and they don't want to do nearly as much. And I don't mean that negatively. What I mean is we as the leaders have to understand that this is a different generation. And I can't expect them to be able to go out and work as hard as I feel I would be working right now.
Yep.
What I have to do is set them up for success and hope that at the end of it all, we got everything we need to get done. I can't expect them to be able to do what I can go do. Everybody's built different. So as the leaders, we have to learn that there's a very large give and take in this industry, and I'm sure all industries, but we're talking about this one. So we have to make sure we set our employees, our coworkers, whatever, up for success. I can't give my guys too much to do today. You can't expect your kids to act like adults every single day inside that shop, even though you think they should. Now, I completely understand with the safety issue. Don't be a dumbass. Do what you're asked to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're
kids.
kids.
Yeah.
And you have to be that leader for them to show them how you act around this equipment and that there's a time and a place to be the dumbass.
And what's crazy to me, and like you said, it's a generational thing. Like, it shocks me how many of my kids who for the first time are touching like a push mower or something in my class. And it's like, why is there no like understanding of like, hey, as a kid, you're supposed to be doing some work around the house, you know, like it's not like you're expected to do it every day or whatever, but like, it is a generational thing. And I think I talked about this with Kristen, was the fact that since we're in a shortage of labor, we're not the only industry. And it's kind of it's astounding the number of industries that are low on labor, low on like qualified individuals, low on like all of these things. And it's like, where is everybody?
Now is the time. Now's the employee's time. Like, let's be real honest. Right now, it's not the employer's time.
Correct.
Right now is the time of the employee. I don't remember a time like this ever where
they had the power to say something.
Well, they had the power to say, screw you, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford to lose you, but you can afford to lose me right now. So we have to learn. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's ebb and flows in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I don't remember a time where the employee had the entire upper hand.
Yeah. And the other thing is like when we talk about like my kids doing internships, and there's a lot right now, like over 40, I think, this summer, it's saying, hey, you should go do this if you're interested in it, when they're paying like $11 an hour and a job at McDonald's pays $16 an hour. Like, it's hard to hear that, you know, like, hey, you're young, like you should understand the value of learning and the value of this opportunity versus.
But they should also learn the value of making as much money as they can while they can.
Exactly.
For being honest about it.
That's the hard part. That's the hard. Like, I can't say in good, like, I'm not telling kids like, and I don't know if I can tell this whole story on here, but like, I had a kid, he was like mad about money that he had spent this amount of time on this course, wanted some more. Another kid who's never been there is making more money. And he was like mad at me. I'm like, dude, it's not my position to tell you what to do, whatnot. You should stay where you're at because you're in a good position. And it's just like he went somewhere else for more money. And it's like, I understand why he's upset, but at the same time, like you're taking a risk by burning the bridge that has been there for you and gave you the opportunity to start there, you know, like
what he should have practiced, because now's the time. He should have gone into the boss or, you know, whoever runs the ship there and stated his case. It was a great opportunity for him to act like a grown-up and go in there and state his case for what he felt like he deserved.
Yeah, you know, these kids, they can be grown-ups at some points, and then other times it's like, why are you doing this? Like,
but they're kids. So,
and that's the thing.
We hear what frustrates me. About 3 years ago at SFMAs, you heard a lot of guys talking about this current generation, how lazy they are. Right now, we need this current generation because there's nobody out there working. So instead of being frustrated with how lazy they are, how about we try to learn to adapt? And we need to, it used to be maybe it took 3 guys to do the job that we were doing. We need to go to our bosses and say, that needs to be our place to say, hey, I need one more position.
Yeah.
And it's not our employees' place to do that. It's our place. So we, instead of being frustrated with the generation, we need to learn as head groundskeepers to push back and say, okay, I need more people.
Yeah.
We're not able to get done what we used to get done. I get it. but I need more people and I need to pay them more so that they're willing to come in and do what I need done. And I know you can't have that conversation everywhere. I understand those jobs out there. Get it. We just can't do it. But where we can, we need to be pushing that salary higher, and we need to be pushing our amount of people that we have higher so that we're not in the situation of my guys just don't get enough done.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is there is the stigma this generation's lazier, and I'm not saying it's not true, because there are a lot of kids that are just like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
we have been out here
100%.
for 40 minutes. Like, you can't be complaining about it this much. But like, there are a lot of kids that are workers, and they'll work their ass off, and they will come in and do the job. Most of the time they'll do better than guys who've been in the industry. Like, it's just finding those people, you know what I mean? That we need to figure out how to find them and bring them in.
And then we need to reward them for being here.
Yes.
Bottom line. We don't need to push them away.
Which is hard to do when it comes to, again, hey, work less, work more with less money, but at the same time, like, there are upsides. Like, it's I think it was Leah we were talking about before she's presenting, but she brought up a point where the only people that were in stadiums or at work are the individuals who were taking care of the field, taking care of the courses. In minor league baseball, there's the only position in the stadium outside of the GM, who's like, again, semi the owner almost, like, most of the time, right, that has to have some sort of college degree certification or something in order to have that job, you know.
Yep.
Where does that say? Why are they not on the higher echelons of pay in the stadium? You know what I mean?
We were the industry that still went to work every single day.
Exactly.
We didn't miss a day. We did, us as a grounds crew here at Innsworth, we had no one on campus for 2.5, 3 months at all.
Yeah.
We were the ones here. It was a lonely place to be. Mm-hmm. But we were here every single day maintaining our fields. But yet we come out of COVID and there's people at the same place that treat us like we're just lawn care. And no offense to lawn care, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The same people you needed here every single day are the same people that you step on and that you don't care about what they're doing almost every single day. What happened? What changed? Yeah. You asked us to be here. You paid. Okay, let's look at this. My employer paid the entire school through COVID, whether you were here or not. Facilities got paid, teachers got paid, which is great. That's an amazing thing that they were able to do.
Yeah.
We all got a bonus for getting through COVID together by our board members and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, they raised money and they took care of us, right?
Yeah.
But yet one group was allowed to work during that time. So
why does that not show people?
Right. They got paid and weren't here. We got paid and we're here.
Yeah.
We worked 40 hours a week. They worked 0. We made the same money they did. But yet when we all come back from this, we're stepped on just like we were. And I'm like, where? So what we're getting at here is, how do we turn that so that this next generation wants to be in this industry?
Yeah. And that's,
but I think where that comes is we have to speak up for ourselves.
Yeah. And
we have to take ownership and speak up for ourselves.
I think, and again, like, I said it a couple of times. I said it during the general session, is like, I don't know who we need to talk to. And I guess it's the owners or something along the lines of professional sports or whatever. It's amazes me that, again, when we talk about professional athletes, the number of games they're playing, all these things, the amount of money they make, obviously they should make good money. They're the ones that are performing for the TVs, for all that. But when we have a guy like, again, Patrick Mahomes, who makes $500 million, there's a certain level of hey, we need to protect the investment. Well, my issue is people don't notice that field is the first line of defense. Now, I'm not saying.
Do you think Patrick Mahomes is as fast as he is if the Bermuda grass is 4 inches tall?
Yeah,
and there are ruts all over the field.
that's exactly.
I don't think he makes those cuts if that field's not freaking perfect week in and week out.
And again, like it's the first line of defense. It's your first line of insurance. Like,
we're an insurance policy.
No, and that's my thing is like when you look at it face value, like you look at these organizations and how much money there is and how much they can do. They could take, I don't even know, like 2% of a major event. And if you allocate that to the grounds crew, their pay will go tenfold up.
And you're going to get 10 times from them.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they don't do all the work that they can, because people like Travis Hogan and those guys do phenomenal work.
No doubt. But you're going to have a crew that wants to be there for you every single day.
Yeah.
And instead of guys that are disgruntled and fed up and tired, working out in the elements every day, you're going to have guys that, you know what, my employer takes care of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I'm as positive as I can be today, even though it's snowing and we're out here painting a field.
And again, it's literally like, it's got to be like 2% of a Beyonce concert. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What's that going to do to their budget line? Nothing.
But it would do a lot. It would do a lot.
It would do
Travis's budget line.
Yeah, exactly. Like he could add probably 2 guys. He could have everyone's pay like double what it is, and like, yeah.
It's also a great way to look at buying equipment instead of running on ragged equipment. But I think that's up to us. I think sit here and complain about it, but we as an industry have to do better, and we as individuals have to do better to bring ourselves to the forefront.
Which again, I don't know what that approach is. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been very lucky though. Like, okay, I can sit here and complain, and I have. I've told you, we stepped on it, but I was in. So our CFO is leaving. Our CFO is my direct boss.
Gotcha.
All right, and she's leaving, and I was in the interviews to replace her. I was involved in the initial meetings with our new headmaster of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Both those people know who I am. Both those people have had conversations about me with current administration and how important our job here at Innsworth is.
Yeah.
So I know I have brought, and I this is going to sound cocky as hell. There's been 2 great head groundskeepers here in the past. They did a fantastic job. The one thing they did poorly, in my opinion, is bringing us to the forefront here.
Yeah.
I brought us to the forefront at Innsworth through Twitter, through social media presence. I brought us here, getting our face seen instead of, it used to be here, we wanted to be, we didn't want to be seen or heard from. We just wanted the job done. I've made sure that we're in front of the coaches. We're in front of the parents. The parents know who we are.
Yeah.
That's important to me. And I think that's what we as groundskeepers need to do a better job of, is getting in front of the people that matter.
Yeah, 100%.
And whatever that means at your place of employment, because at my place of employment, it's different than at your place of employment. So I can't tell you how to do it, but you need to do a good job of getting your team in front of them.
I think we've done a pretty good job. We have an artificial field that, again, it's inevitable because of the school district, and they've made every single high school stadium field artificial. Ours is going on a practice field because, again, our program and what we've done. So there are things that happen, but I would love to figure out who it is that we could talk to that'll change the game for all of us. You know what I mean? Because if you get in front of the what am I saying? If we get in front of the owners, say the NFL owners, how do we say, hey, how do we get their situation better? How does that trickle over to the MLB guys? How does it trickle to minor league guys? How does that trickle down to Parks and Rec schools? Like, I don't know that part. You know what I mean? If we could get someone at the SFMA to start setting up meetings with bigger organizations, like that would be great. But at the same time, like, how do we coherently sort of coat the entire industry is what's going to be hard. You know what I mean?
What do you think would happen? This will never happen. I'm not encouraging this to happen.
No, go ahead.
But nurses have done it. Police officers have done it. What if for one day
we all strike?
Every groundskeeper took the day off.
Oh.
How would they see then how important we are? It would be massive, though. And it wouldn't work out. It wouldn't work out for everyone.
No. And that's, here's my thing is like the work that like some of the guys, and again, like Matt Brown with the Pirates and now Ryan up with the Brewers and everything. Think about taking a day off on the day of a game.
Mm-hmm.
No ground.
The entire crew. The entire crew. It's a green out. Like
the panic and chaos that would ensue. And again,
they would finally see how important our side of this thing is.
And again, like the idea of the field, like what they do on their level of when it comes to meticulous work, ensuring that every square inch of that thing is flat and level. The number of times they're edging, fixing their edges in between homestands. Like I do not get that opportunity at the high school level. Like I'm like a 2 to 3 times a season type deal, but like they're like a 17, like 17 times throughout the season. I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the resources. Like it's insane. Like the lack of knowing on those fields is unbelievable. You know, like the lack of people's knowledge of what's done to prepare them, you know? So no, I hear you. I don't know if one day would be enough is the problem. You know what I mean? And I hear you. I'm sure to send a message.
It gets the conversation started.
Yeah.
If you had to cancel 15 major league stadiums from playing,
somebody would say
that gets a conversation started.
They'd call the local little league guys and be like, "Hey, we need you to come line the field."
We got to have those guys. We got to have everyone.
No, I hear you, but I'm saying like that would be their first.
It'll never happen, but look, it definitely would get a conversation going.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. So we wrap up on these last 2 questions because we're already over an hour. Wow. Sorry. I didn't mean to keep you that long.
Listen, there's never been a podcast I've done. I've done a couple that has gone less than an hour. It's always ridiculous. So it's not you, it's me.
No. I enjoy the longer ones because it means we're having fun, you know?
That's what she
said. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're having too much fun now. With what happened to your guys' podcast, by the way?
So BJ moved.
Okay.
BJ went to Wilson, Arkansas to be a golf course superintendent.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure Wilson, Arkansas is known for their high-speed internet connection.
Gotcha.
And we tried to record. I was at the house and he was at the golf course, and I would be talking and he would be talking at the same time because none of it was it kind of went to crap. But there might be, possibly a resurgence coming in the future. There might be some changes being made.
Gotcha.
And we might be getting the band back together. He might not even know 100% of what all's coming. And we'll see. We'll see what we can do to get the boys back together again.
No, for sure. That'd be awesome. Yeah, it's funny because it was, by the way, shout out to Ryan Bjorn. I don't know if my hand's up right. Patriots. He gave me a couple shirts and everything. I'm a Giants fan, so like I don't hate the Patriots because we kick their ass every time. And we're terrible now. But no, it was funny because my little brother was with us and Kenny was just amazed. That's my little brother, sorry. We got a tour and everything. So we did the podcast live up in Foxborough and we were able to like get a tour and everything. He's like, you know what, Drew? I don't hate them as much as I usually do. It's like, all right, Kenny, calm down. No, but he showed us the stadium, the practice facilities, the training facility for soccer was incredible. It is crazy how that place is just, it's like hidden in behind a forest like wall from Gillette Stadium. It's like so beautiful. But when we're talking about the podcast, the flow of being in person is so much easier when you're there, when it comes to like
100%.
and like we try our best like with Zoom and whatnot, but like when you're talking about like being in the room with the guy and being able to talk about it, it's so much easier. You know what I mean?
We had such good chemistry together.
Yeah.
And our chemistry came from sitting here and just being like two guys sitting around having a beer.
Yeah.
Shooting the shit, right?
Yeah.
When we went to the virtual and we tried the virtual, it wasn't the same for us.
Yeah.
And while we didn't want to shut it down, internet connections, all that stuff, it just didn't play for what we were trying to really be.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Let us know. We're actually, so I haven't announced this yet because we're working on it still, but with COVID restrictions being at like an all-time low when it comes to like being at school, we're actually constructing a podcast studio at school so
That's
that we'll have a nice little space and everything. I'll still use this from time to time because I'm not going to want to go into like record over the summer or something, but like I've got like a bunch of acoustic foam over there. I've got like we bought shells and it's coming,
really awesome.
Coming together. You'll
have to let students host sometimes too.
Oh no, so that's the point. We usually have students hosting. We usually have like a student host, but again, summer hit and we kind of like, and it's hard to keep them like involved all the time because sometimes
Lord, we would have had a great time. We would have had a great time with a student. This would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
especially if my boy would have been on here. Curly, if Curly would have been on here,
gosh,
this thing would have been off the chain.
Oh, Franco. No, he's a good kid. But yeah, and that's what I was like.
He better listen to this episode.
I will text him the episode once I post.
He better listen to this episode because he got a lot of shout out.
I still can't believe you said that.
I loved it.
I understand, but like it's super embarrassing for me. It's like, Franco, shut up. So we wrap it up on these last two questions. Sorry to get sidetracked again. Obviously, again, you had that time where like you were finding your way in this industry, and I'm always curious about what these answers are because there are so many different ways to approach it. If there was one thing that you wish you knew going into this industry, what would it be and why? And it's not like to make anything better or anything like that. It's just something that you wish you knew when you first started. I'm good with questions. I worded that one right.
You can't control everything.
It's a good one.
You have to learn to let go. And it's been tough. And I mean, my answer is not just about grass. When I became the head, I was a riled up asshole to vendors, especially. And if I ordered some freaking paint from you and it wasn't here the day you said it was going to be here, I was pissed. And I would snap. Like I have snapped on vendors over the stupidest shit. And I think the thing I learned from COVID, so it's not exactly what you asked, but my answer is you can't control everything. But what COVID taught me was who cares? You know, like if my paint's not here, my paint's not here. I'll get it when I get it. I'll go borrow a bucket from somebody down the road. Like it doesn't matter. And I've learned to be patient. So my answer to that question is that you can't control everything. And kind of the way I came to that was the COVID world changed how everything works. And I just learned to be more patient through it and not worry about it. And I've actually called many vendors that I treated like shit for a long time and apologized because I'm not that guy anymore. I've actually learned to be patient with people and understand that my problems aren't the world's biggest problems. So that's how I would answer that question.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer. The COVID world is still having an impact on all that.
It is. But I'm kind of thankful for it because I like who I am today much better than I liked who I was in 2019.
Gotcha. So. No, and that's a great way to look at it. So the last question we ask, obviously, my kids and everything that what their responses and whatnot, which I'm very curious to what they said. I know only one. So what would be your best words of advice for a student who's looking to join this industry? And why should they, again, take this approach or, again, use this advice to their advantage,
There's a book I would recommend, Extreme Ownership or Extreme Leadership, whatever. Look it up. It's take ownership in what you do. Everything you do, own it. Whether you mess up or whether you do something great, win back-to-back Field of the Years, take ownership in it and own it. Be upfront and honest all the time. If you tear something up, own it. I did it. Sorry, I screwed up. If you do something great, post it on your social medias. Take ownership in what you do, and and that's in every aspect of your life, not just your work, but in your relationship. If you screw up with your wife, own it. Hey, I screwed up. I'm sorry. That goes a lot further than I don't know what the hell happened. Take ownership in it. I would also avoid a couple phrases: always and never, because nothing is ever always or never. Same thing in this industry or in your personal life. Those words, avoid them.
I love that because it's so true. No, that's great. It's awesome when you look at perspective that way, it's so true. You never want to get complacent. You never want to be the guy that's always saying, nah, we're good. Not doing that. We're not gonna, it's fine. We're fine,
Do you realize in this episode,
boy,
we have laughed, we have cried.
I don't know what you're talking about, the cry.
We did. Shut up. Own that shit.
I own it. I own it.
And we have been extremely serious from time to time.
Yeah, no.
We have done all your emotional phases in this damn episode, and I hope people love it.
No, for sure. I do want to thank you again for everything with Rylan. You didn't have to do anything.
Quit. Shut up. Shut your mouth.
I'm just saying thank you.
Shut your pie hole,
okay,
man.
I'll be quiet.
I respect and appreciate you guys so much. What you guys do, your students, I was joking with you at SFMA this last year when I said, when are you going to get me on the show? I
told you I wanted to have you.
You've had much better people on this show.
No.
But I appreciate that message the other day of, hey, I want to get you on. I wanted to jump on as soon as possible. I think what you're doing is awesome for our industry. I think there's only one person that's even close to what you're doing, and that's Meg Kruger with Pioneer and how she's highlighting people. I think highlighting people in this industry we're not doing it enough, and I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what she's doing. Your students, they are freaking amazing to me. I love them kind of like they're my own. Just watching what they're doing, let them know they're doing a good job.
I will, for sure.
You keep up the good work.
I appreciate that.
Let's wrap this thing up so I can go get some lunch.
All right.